Abby.
And I'm Caitlin, and today we will be discussing the first installment of the STEMinist novellas, Under One Roof by Ali Hazelwood.
I can count, well, on one hand, how many times I've been personally victimized by Ali Hazelwood. It's been 5 times, and this is one of them.
Agreed. She needs to be stopped, but at the same time, I'm still going to read her stuff every time it comes
Yeah, it's like I will not stop reading it because the first half will get you every time.
Yeah,
The first half, you're like,
half.
damn, she's changed her ways. No, she hasn't. I love her though.
Under One Roof, it has a 3.7 on Goodreads. I feel like
that's valid.
Yeah, it says a scientist should never cohabitate with her annoyingly hot nemesis. It leads to combustion. Mara, Sadie, and Hannah are friends first, scientists always. Though their fields of study might take them to different corners of the world, they can all agree on this universal truth. When it comes to love and science, opposites attract and rivals make you burn. As an environmental engineer, Mara knows all about the delicate nature of ecosystems. They require balance and leaving the thermostat alone and not stealing someone else's food. And other rules Liam, her detestable big oil lawyer of a roommate, knows nothing about. That confused me.
Not the oil lawyer.
Not the big oil lawyer. Listen, I've been drinking a little bit, so that sentence just kind of threw me off. Okay, sure. Technically, she's the interloper. Liam was already entrenched in his aunt's house like some glowering, grumpy giant when Mara moved in, with his big muscles and kissable mouth just sitting there on the couch, tempting respectable scientists to the dark side. ... But Helena was her mentor, and Mara's not about to move out and give up her inheritance without a fight. Good Lord, another
Ali Hazelwood was fucking feral when she was writing this description.
He's got muscles and a kissable mouth. The problem is, living with someone means getting to know them. And the more Mara finds out about Liam, the harder it is to loathe him, and the easier it is to love him. To listen to Sadie and Hannah's stories, look for
that's next time. Funny enough, this series is also called Loath Shall Love You. So I love that.
I apologize in advance. I didn't realize I'd be this tipsy after half of
I'm not sorry.
Yeah, I take it back. I'm not sorry either. Okay.
Because I think
would you rate this?
I gave it a 6.4 out of 10. Because I dig its like hives at one point. But the other parts made me laugh. So it's like, like there are some redeemable qualities about it, but for the most part, I did hate it.
No, agreed. For me, I rated it a 6.5 out of 10 because, it's a D+. There were parts that I thought were very charming. They were very few and far between. Because the other parts made me want to crawl into a hole and never come out because I was so embarrassed. I hated it.
This book was like me in chemistry class. It was laughably bad. Like
that D+.
That D+ was a little too close to home. And
so I actually carried you through chemistry. So
you did.
Passed.
I did pass with a C. Thanks, Mrs. Dudley. Hope you're doing well.
I helped you with all, your homework score was impeccable. You may not have gotten perfect scores
on tests, but so I say laughably bad because one time on a test we were doing mole mass. You remember that? And I didn't know a single thing, and so I drew a mole on it.
Did she?
And Miss Dudley yelled at me. She did not think it was funny. I did my best.
Well, you didn't do your best, but you did something.
I did something. But I'm about as far as I can get from these women in STEM. Cannot relate to them.
Yeah, but the thing is, these women in STEM are
But I think socially I am doing better than them.
Yeah, I think they need a little more balance in their life, to be quite honest with you.
I agree. Let's talk about Mara.
Okay. She is the worst.
I didn't care much for her character. So she's an environmental engineer, and that's her whole personality, is that she loves the earth.
Lots of stickers that proclaim her love for the earth.
Like, I know she drives like a Chevy Spark. She drives an electric car, I'm sure.
Yeah, and the back is actually like a mosaic of bumper stickers.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
You
her.
can't even see what color the car is.
And she's not even like a little bit mad when she has to use like paper straws and they disintegrate in her drink.
Yeah, she's like, that's the price I pay.
There's a lot of times where I don't like female main characters, and it's because of characters like Mara that I don't. So she's so naive to the point I don't know how she like got through life without dying.
It's like, oh, you're smart, but you're dumb.
And it seems like things just fall into her lap, and I don't think that's fair. It's like she has a PhD, she somehow paid for it, she has loans, but this professor who I guess sponsored her, I don't know, just gave her like half of her house, which is shitty if you think about it. Like, that's not fair to Liam. It worked out, but it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I would be pissed as fuck at my family if they did that.
And it's just like, she acts like, I don't know, like Ali Hazelwood tried to make her seem, I think, more mature than some of her other female main characters, but barely. It's like I think she was more familiar with, I guess, like sex, but everything else, no, she had like the mindset of like a 10-year-old.
I think the part that really kind of rubbed me the wrong way is like how she's a full-blown Disney adult, because
yes,
and like, listen, before you guys get mad, listen to my whole sentence. I do have a love for Disney in general. I do have a love and nostalgia for Disney films that I grew up with and the music that came with it. But it has a time and a place to remember those songs and like, sing that, like if you're doing karaoke with your friends and you want to sing a Disney song, I get it. If you are constantly playing Disney soundtracks and nothing else, that's weird. Don't do that. Stop doing that.
Yeah, it's like I know why Liam was upset, because I too would be upset if my roommate had just a Disney playlist on repeat
and that's
every
all
day.
They listen to, and that's all you hear coming from their
That's
room.
not like, normal.
If you do that, I'm calling you out right now.
And I'm also calling the police.
Yeah, I don't trust you around the children in my life. Sorry.
But the only redeemable quality about her is that she does have some good dry humor in her inner monologue. And also, like, it's totally relatable that she does have a pair of underwear with Jeff Goldblum's face on it, because I also would.
And now I'm thinking about specifically buying a pair.
Like, I have been
just because I've never thought of that existing, but it's like, yeah, I kind of want that. Another thing that's like, she's so real for that is that she does write fan fiction about The Bachelor.
We're thing is, hoes for fan fiction.
I love fan fiction. And for The Bachelor, it makes sense to me because there are so many times you're watching The Bachelor and they fuck up. They pick the wrong person and it's clear. They send the wrong person home. You're like, no, this could have gone so much differently. So you write it. And I love that. And I would read it.
100%. 100%.
Or just like a fan fiction that's like Bachelor inspired, where like all the characters are completely made up. I would read a story like that.
Yeah.
I would be into it.
So Liam, man, he had me in the first half. Not gonna lie. I was fully into it.
I even thought it was hot that he was a corporate piece of shit lawyer because he was like always walking through the door loosening his ties. And I was like, yeah.
I eat that shit up.
I was like, I don't even care that you're destroying the earth. That's hot.
Like, I love that you're a little bit mean. I could ask for nothing more. But then he has to go and make it fucking weird at the end of the book, like always. And now he's like a shy guy and he doesn't like sex. But that's not real. Maybe it is. I don't know. There are asexual people. I take that back.
Asexual people, but and I mean maybe I'm just misunderstanding what it means. But like, do asexual people like decide that they like sex with certain people, or
I don't know.
The way that I interpreted it is that they just were not interested whatsoever.
Or maybe they didn't have like the urge to have sex.
So it just kind of like struck me funny when he's literally in the middle of pouncing on her and then is like, I don't like sex.
Okay, I looked it up because I am interested to know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
No, educate me.
so someone who's asexual experiences little to no sexual attraction. Asexual people typically don't pursue or want relationships with other people. That being said, asexual means different things to different people. Some might only experience sexual attraction in very limited circumstances
Okay.
or when they have like a deep connection.
Okay. That explains Liam a lot more to me.
Or they might only feel attracted to people, sexually attracted to people in the context of a loving romantic relationship.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
that
I think
tracks. So maybe
that
he's asexual.
clears up a lot of things for me because to me, I wasn't looking at it from that perspective. I was looking at it from he's literally in the middle of having sex with her and he's like, I don't like sex, which is different than
Like,
him.
hey, I don't have sex a lot. Like,
Yeah, like
or like I
it's
haven't really been interested in it prior to this.
yeah, I think like I was not picking up what he was putting down. I feel like it wasn't very clearly communicated.
Not like knuckle deep in some lady. Be like, yeah, I actually hate this.
I'm sorry. I'm
I was
sorry.
like,
Okay.
um, pardon? Like that
Uh,
took me right off the moment. Like,
that makes me actually like understand where Liam was coming from there.
yes. So yeah, that sheds some light on it.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
less confused than I was when we started recording this episode.
Absolutely. I hate him a little less now. I thought he was so sweet. And
He
like
was.
I think obviously because he didn't have a lot of like prior experience, like he didn't know how to handle certain situations. And I'm sure Mara was also a lot to take in his very quiet, comfortable life. And I too would be shocked by that. And so I think he handled the situation very well.
All things considered. Yeah. I did really like I love the fact that he was like secretly a super talented photographer because like I
I
just
know.
love, a tortured artist type. But yeah, Mara was like, these photos are gorgeous. Like, where did you buy them? And he's like, oh, I just take those. And she's
Like
like,
no
what?
big deal.
Yeah. So like I thought that was hot.
The one thing I still thought was just so weird was that he's like, yeah, I'm gonna break this system down from the inside out by becoming like this super successful oil lawyer.
Like, why was that his plan?
Like, I'm sorry, you're not gonna make a difference.
Yeah, he was a little too grandiose in his
He girl
thinking
bossed
there.
a little too close to the sun, if you ask me.
Okay, Icarus. Listen, he's trying his best, I
His
think.
intentions were pure.
His intentions were pure. He's not quite a golden retriever. He's more like a
I think he's like he's giving a feral cat. Like he
ooh,
like almost like
Charlie,
Charlie.
almost like Charlie
Yeah,
from Book
from
Lovers, for those of you who don't know who we're talking about.
giving some
Uh,
he doesn't know how to give love or
mhm.
accept love, but he is attached.
Yes, and he's like, I don't know how to do this, but I want to try.
Yes.
Yeah, and I
But
feel like
only with
that,
her.
yeah, which I get now from the perspective of him being asexual.
Like he had to really build up that relationship.
Yeah. It's honestly like I feel a little bit dense not having realized that before we had this discussion, but really, I needed it to be spelled out for me apparently, and I apologize.
I love that. Actually, Ali Hazelwood, I like that.
I
Thank
know
you.
because the thing is, we always want this. We always ask for this, and she actually gave us exactly what we asked for. Because
Yeah.
ask for representation without being hit over the head with stereotypes.
Yeah.
And that's
That was
actually
so
what
gorgeously done.
in a way that it was so subtle that people like you and me who don't know anyone who's ace or have that perspective ourselves did not know it was happening. So actually
Wow.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, I take it back, Ali Hazelwood. I'm gonna bump you up to like an 8.5 because you still could have done some things different. I'm not
Okay,
gonna
yeah,
lie.
it doesn't like change how much I liked this particular story, I'm not gonna lie, but like she gave
10
us
out of
exactly
10
what we
in
asked
terms of
for.
representation.
Yeah. And our bad for being
We've read
naive.
this more than twice.
Listen, but that's the thing though. Like, we were like, I'm not sure I understand what's going on. And we looked it up and now we know.
And
See
that's
how
like
easy it is?
the beauty of Google.
Yeah.
No excuses. Let's move on to Helena. So Helena was actually not alive at all this entire book. She
Yeah.
was dead. But it was Mara's friend and mentor who left her house when she passed. Mara did make a habit of writing letters to her from beyond the grave, and I thought that was really cute.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's a good way to cope with grief as well, because like as much as she tried to make it seem like she was sad about it, but also was just like, this is life. Like, I'm sure she was grieving.
For sure. Especially because like from Mara, it kind of seemed like she didn't have any other like family, and like besides her friends, Sadie and Hannah, she didn't have like really a support system.
We didn't get a lot of background on that.
Yeah, like it wasn't super detailed, but I feel like at one point she did kind of like touch on when she was like thinking about why Helena left her the house. I think she was like, maybe Helena like realized that she was my family, basically.
Yeah.
Like she didn't have that outside of her. So it would have been like extremely hard for her to deal with that loss, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I do still think it's strange that she did not notify her only family member that she truly cared about that she was selling out half of her home.
She was being a mastermind.
I know she was, but like I would be shook if someone just showed up at my house and was like, I live here now.
Yeah, I mean, I would be too, but Helena like had a vision. She wanted them to fall in love, and she
She's a
made it
beautiful
happen.
genius.
And it worked.
Well, and I think it's funny too that like halfway through the book, Liam's like, I'm surprised she didn't try to set us up. And he was like, oh.
Yeah. And Mara's like, tee what?
She's like, yeah, that's crazy.
And then we have Hannah and Sadie, who are Mara's best friends, and like they're a trio. And they're also the main female characters in the other two novellas. So
we'll see more about them.
Yeah, they're so fun. They're always like FaceTiming each other three-way, which I love. It's very cute. They're always just like making fun of each other and shit.
They're just like exactly what a friend group is. Because at first I was like, they're insufferable, but so are most friends.
Yeah. Anyways, that is something that I think is just like a really good comedic relief throughout. It continues throughout all three of the novellas because, of course, they're always shooting the shit with each other, and I love it.
Yeah, and it's cute. It's really good. But those are really the only characters, since it's only a 100-page book. That's surprisingly a lot of characters for that short of a book.
Yeah, honestly.
I have some thoughts and concerns to address.
Yeah, let's.
Most of them are not good. Just to preface, Ali Hazelwood, every single book she's ever written, she's like, I'm going to develop just this amazing relationship, and you're going to feel the tension through the pages, and they're going to get together, and then I'm going to do the most buckwild shit you've ever seen in your life, and you never want to pick this book up again.
Yeah.
And she's done it once again with this book. But again, now that we know a little bit more, it makes some more sense. However, the way it was written was still weird.
Because my thing is, like, let me just say, when you're writing a book, you are in full control of what happens.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to include awkwardness. That doesn't need to exist. You don't need to include really cringy, horrible, unsexy things to say during sex. Because guess what? You're writing it. You don't have to put that in there.
No one held a gun to your head
and made you do that? If they are, please let us know. And we'll save you.
Blink twice, Ali Hazelwood, if someone's holding you hostage.
I will personally come to your rescue.
So this book begins with a prologue, right? Mm-hmm. And in the prologue, like, Liam approaches her and is like nuzzling her neck, and she was like, is this Liam? I was like, who else would it be, girlie? Like, have some self-awareness here.
Like, you literally had already looked at him before this happened.
He was like, don't panic, it's Liam. I'm like, okay. And then everything's okay.
Everything's okay. I was like, is it?
Like, I don't know anything about you, sir. Who are you? Like, does she want this?
Well, he was like, is this okay? And she would like nod. And then he like was like, everything's okay. It's like, sir.
But now, so we get to the nitty gritty. We see the last few months of them together, which I did respect, that they at least knew each other for a few months in this book. I think that was great, because a lot of books like that are this short, it's like, and we were married within the next 3 days. So then we, fast forward a few months, and we finally revisit this section of the prologue. And like, now that I know more about it, I'm like, okay, this isn't terrible. I love it. It's going great. Like he seems a little nervous. It was weird that he was eavesdropping on her conversation,
And then didn't
but
say anything about it till a week later.
but I do love a man of action, so whatever. And then he hits her with like a good girl, and I was like, fuck
Yeah.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
Ali Hazelwood, are we doing this? Is it happening?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not.
No.
Because then we proceed to have the weirdest sex scene I've ever seen. So he just pulled her pants down,
Well, it's
right?
not the weirdest because if you
It's not the
remember,
weirdest
there's
because we'll
more to
talk about
come.
the weirdest in the next one. Um, Strange. It was just bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
She made it awkward. She's made it awkward. So like they're getting it on in the kitchen. And miraculously, she comes, from
From
minimal
nothing.
contact.
Like he was inside her, not moving, and she came.
And I was like, yeah, she was built up. Sure, whatever. So then they moved it. Also, he's like biting her butt cheeks. And I was like, you said that like more than 3 times, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, please stop.
and so they move it to the bedroom, right?
Hmm.
And she's freaking out about the condom, whatever. And they get into this whole thing where she's like, I'm clean. Are you clean? He's like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
And she's like,
I was
that's a wild thing to say. Is it just
just
because you're
like,
like a sex god? And he was like,
how
oh
many
no, it's because I don't like
partners do you have?
sex. And at
Yeah.
this point, he's like fingering her, right? Like in the
Yeah.
bed, says
And he's
that to
like, I
her
don't
face.
like sex.
And she's like, Jesus Christ, okay.
She's like, oh God, do we need to stop? Like, am I taking advantage of this?
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, you're a virgin. And then proceeds to have what I would consider to be too much communication in the
Mm-hmm.
bedroom because he's like, yeah, no, I want to fuck you. And she's like, let's do it. He's like, but I could also just keep doing this. And she was like, I mean, if that makes you comfortable, I suppose. And he's like, but I really want to do this. And she's like, yeah, let's do it. And
I
then
don't understand it.
but then they finally do. They
Mm-hmm.
finally do. And then proceeds to be like, I know you said you wanted it hard and fast. I felt like that was a little too fast. And she's like, yeah, you're pretty fast. And I was like, damn, that's like not the right thing to say to somebody afterwards. Like, brutally honest. Love that for
Especially
you.
someone who has already said they don't like sex.
And then
It's like you might have
proceeds
just
to
ruined it.
have another 4 pages talking about how fast is too fast and what the difference between fast means. And then we jump forward like a few months later from that weird ass conversation, zero conclusion to that. And they're like,
So I
yeah,
guess they're in
we're
love now.
buying family sized Cheez-Its at the grocery store. And that was the last page.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this went downhill so quickly.
It did. I think like a lot of times what Ali Hazelwood's trying to do is like flip the script and like have the guy in the hetero relationship be the one who's inexperienced in the bedroom. Um, which is like I get what she's doing, but it just comes across as like really unsexy and uncomfortable. And like let's like why can't we just make them like experienced adults, both of them?
I got the worst ick of my life.
It was very ick. I'm glad they're happy with each other, but it made me scared.
She's like, but it was so perfect in every way. I'm like, well, obviously it wasn't.
Yeah. Perfect for who?
Just like that was
Not a
way too much
single.
dialogue for me.
Yeah, like point to me a reader of this book that is like, yeah, that is the most perfect sex scene I've ever read in my life.
I can't because they don't exist.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my two pieces on it.
Your 2 pieces.
My 2 pieces.
Um, another thing that I would just like to point out is like there's this scene where she uses Liam's bathroom because he didn't come home for the night, so she just assumes that he's like gonna be gone. And her bathroom wasn't currently working. So she had just worked out and she's like, well, I need to take a shower. So as soon as she goes to step out of the shower, Liam walks in, not realizing she's in there. And so she's naked, obviously. And like he gets really uncomfortable. She's like, hey, can you hand me a towel? And like,
Just staring at her.
he is just staring at her, shooketh. And then she's like, don't worry, I don't think you're gonna like jack off to my naked body. And he says nothing. He says literally nothing.
He's
And
like,
like the
oh,
scene
that's
ends.
weird because that's exactly what I'm about to go do.
I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever read. Also, whenever she is like shivering on the couch under like 6 blankets because the heat's broken, and so they cuddle on the couch, which I'm like, okay, that's cute. But then like the electrician gets there to repair it, and she literally like doesn't want him to get up. And so he carries her to the door, and I
Like,
almost threw up.
grow the fuck up and learn how to generate your own body heat.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, why is she that? She needs to get her thyroid checked.
Yeah, perhaps you need to get some blood work done.
Yeah, like so, that's not normal. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You know what else I didn't really care much for was like the random best friend that we like throw in there. So it
And then
like
never hear from again.
never hear from her again. But she also clears zero air. Like she fully knows what Mara's thinking. She's like, yeah, she thinks I'm with this guy, and I'm gonna
She
let her keep thinking that.
That's the thing because she knows Liam's too dense to realize what Mara's thinking.
And she's like, this is gonna play out splendidly. I will see you two never.
She's like, I'm gonna stir the fucking pot.
And honestly,
There
no, I do love that for her. Like,
is
what
honestly,
a power move.
speaking of friends like giving each other shit, that was amazing. There is one scene that I did really like is when she's fixing the microwave. He's like, please don't build an atomic bomb. And she says, don't tell me what to do.
Like,
That's
I
funny.
get
I like
that.
that. So that was like the one thing that I was like, oh, that's charming and cute. And the rest of it was
The rest of it was just like a shitstorm.
so we'll kind of touch on what tropes are in this book in case you want to read it. Um, so it's enemies to lovers. Technically, they're rivals. Like he's a big oil lawyer and she's an environmental engineer. Forced proximity, of course. Slow burn, except it's only like 130 pages. And there's also like a bit of a miscommunication throughout. They both assume the other is like not into them.
There was more miscommunication in these 100 pages than in like most of the 1,000 page like fantasy novels we read in our time.
No, you're right.
And that
Especially
was
like when they
actually
threw in
incredible.
the friend, like that extra layer, a
I'm like,
bit
what
too
more can we cover here?
a bit too much, if you ask me. Um, anyways, not my favorite. That's all I got to
Keep
say.
busting him out so I can keep shitting on him, Ali Hazelwood. Thank you.
The thing is, like, I'm always excited for her books, and
I'm like, maybe this will be the one.
I don't know what's wrong. Like, is it like some kind of Pavlovian response that I'm like, oh yeah, women in STEM, feminist, it's gonna be great. And then like she's like using that against us.
I don't know. I think it's because the love hypothesis, like, genuinely, I did think it was good the first time
Mhm.
I read it. It was the second read through that got me. And I think maybe if I just never had read it again and I picked these up, I may have had the same reaction, but now I know how fucking weird
Mhm.
it is and I can't stop seeing it.
Yeah, like you can't even finish Love on the Brain.
I can't. I bought it and I can't do it.
There's something there.
I felt my blood pressure rise as I was reading it and I had to set it down and I haven't revisited it.
She's doing something interesting to us. She's performing a social experiment on us.
Like, is this a joke? Are we being punked?
I think we might be. The thing is, like, I want to support her so bad.
And I will support her. I'll keep buying her books.
I'll keep buying her books and being disappointed. Um, anyways, next week we are actually going to be taking a break. So the week after on the 17th will be our next mini-sode about the second
We're
STEMinist.
actually jumping right back into this.
Yeah, so be prepared. Actually, I recall this next one being I liked it even less than the first one, but then I think the third one is the one that I like the best, if I'm remembering.
I think the next one is what genuinely scarred me as a person. And the third one was pretty cute. I can't remember.
I can't
One of
remember which
them
is which.
had the most whack ass statement in the entire world in
I
it, and
think
I
we might
can't
have
look
it
past
backwards.
it.
I think we might have it backwards because I think the third one's the NASA people.
I think that one was cute. I think the NASA one was cute.
The NASA one was cute, except for the crater.
Was that the NASA one?
Yeah.
Damn, I don't know,
Yeah.
man. Maybe they're both bad, and I'm
Because
lying
it
to
was
myself.
cute up until that point, and I think that's what got us.
You're right. We'll expand on the whole crater situation when we get to it.
Yeah,
You'll
listen,
know.
we're
You'll know.
off topic now. But join us for that. That one's called Stuck With You. And then the week after that, we're going to be doing Too Long Didn't Read. And we're going to be doing The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini.
One of my favorite books that we did in high school. I know it's kind of getting to the end of the year, but if you're doing any last minute reading reports, this might be a good one for our little high school students out there
Yeah.
who
And
need
I
some
mean,
help.
or maybe for next year if you still got some school ahead of you. But that one is sad and heavy.
It's a little, there's some triggers,
Oh, for
certainly.
sure, for sure. So, as always, like read with caution. Although if you're forced to read it for school, like I don't know what to tell you. Sorry about
That's
you. That's
actually
life.
a really wild book they made you read in school. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we had to read it.
we did.
Hmm. And we had to read The Bluest Eye.
The Handmaid's Tale, I had to read that, and that's a weird
Mm.
one for
I did
school.
not have to read that one. Yeah, I mean, they make you read some scarring shit in school, but it's good for you. It builds character. Anyways,
Once again,
get started on those. Enjoy your spring break if it's coming up. We'll talk to you next time. And as always,
let's get lit. We are lit.
we are lit.